Okay, I bet you've all heard by now, but apparently there's no Epstein list. So before we talk a little bit more about it, let's see what the White House press secretary has to say to that.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. It sounds kind of ridiculous. Didn't Pam Bundy, or whatever her name is, said that she literally has the Epstein list on the table? I think she said it around February or something like that. Also, wasn't it one of the points that President Trump mentioned prior to election that he's going to release the Epstein files? Well, what's going on with that? It just sounds so ridiculous to me. If you think about the whole Epstein situation, like Epstein's dead, right? Apparently committed suicide. I don't know. It sounds weird to me. Like, how was he even able to commit suicide? But yeah, that's different topic, right? But in this whole case, the only one who was charged, accused, and sent to the prison, other than Epstein, was Ghislaine Maxwell. But that's it. What about all other people? Like, it's just crazy. We all know that Epstein was pedophile. He was even at a court in 2007, and like they proved that he is. But what about all of the other people that visited his island? And I know Democrats always argue with, oh yeah, President Trump was on the flight list like 7 times, right? That came out during the Ghislaine Maxwell process. And yes, but what about other people? Like, I'm not saying President Trump is not important, or it's just the flight list, right? We don't really know if he was participating or no. But if Democrats want to argue with flight list, what about all the other people? Like, I feel like everyone who's on the flight list should be investigated. And there's no way there's no Epstein list. Like, this thing, if they consider it closed, that's ridiculous. Like, he made so much damages. There's so many victims. Don't tell me that they don't have enough evidence to send the people to the prison who deserve that. It's freaking ridiculous. And they're gonna tell us how they're all about justice. Like, look, I like President Trump administration, but this is fishy as hell. And especially, I heard a good argument, which I can't agree more. Like, Elon Musk said that President Trump is on the Epstein list, right? We all expected that Epstein list is going to get released, especially because of this. Because how better you can prove that you're not on the list than releasing it? Well, look, apparently there's no Epstein list. So my guess is that there's too many powerful people to release that. And that's why Democrats didn't release it if President Trump's on the list, right? Because they have a lot of Democrats there, which is obvious. And Prince Andrew, like, we all saw the documentary, we all have our own ideas, but is he really that innocent? And we saw what happened to him. He's pretty much invisible right now, forgotten, not really royalty or anything. Like, but anyway, and my other guess is, if President Trump is on the list, if he would release it and it wouldn't be a complete list, these powerful people would make sure that everyone knows he was on the list and that's not the full list. So I feel like in his case, saying that there's no client list, I don't know. If he's on the list, that's a best case scenario for him. That's the only out he can get. But that's not justice. And someone like the press secretary of the White House standing there and telling us how they're all about justice. Look, if there was no client list, like for real, I think they would say, we will do whatever we can to get these people into prison. And there was another good point. Look, so Elon, like we mentioned, he said President Trump's on the list. Well, President Trump is not new to the lawsuits, right? So why didn't he file the lawsuit against Elon Musk for defamation? That's weird, because he has a lot of them going on. Like, what was it, CNN, some stations like this. Like, he's not new to defamation lawsuits, so why isn't he going after Elon? That's kind of weird that out of nowhere he's gonna give him out, right? And let's talk about one more thing, about how this administration is all about bringing bad guys to the justice. What about Diddy? Like, how is it possible that Diddy is gonna, well, he's probably not gonna walk away, but he might get out after like 18 months or 8 months, because it's pretty much his first time trafficking sexual workers, right? Or whatever, helping them transport or something like that. Like, he wasn't charged of that before. So as a first time offender, the chances that he would get 20 years are really low, unless the judge is gonna try to pretty much make up for the jury's not finding him guilty in all of the more serious charges. But yeah, anyway, that's just like, we're gonna listen what she has to say to that more. But like, so far it's really fishy. They were announcing they have the list, and out of nowhere there's no list, right? And again, CIA, FBI, they're not new to lying. They were mentioning they were lying to us how they don't have a secret prisons, how they don't have a, how is it called? The torture system. And they have all of that. So who knows? We will probably never find the truth. Yeah, let's continue. There's one more thing I would like to mention, but let's continue with this.
Sure. Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes,
Yep.
she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to
Liar.
Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction.
No. Stop deflecting. Did you notice she never said that they're gonna look into the Epstein again and find these bad guys? She's just talking in general, like that they want to bring all of the bad guys to the justice. But what about Epstein? Like, really? We're gonna just let it go? That's ridiculous.
In United States history, their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did for any.
Yeah, bad guys, but not in the Epstein case, obviously. Looks like not even in the Diddy case. I mean, it might change, right? But so far, it doesn't really look like they care about Epstein and Diddy. And why? Does it have to do something about powerful people being involved? It's ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, like this administration is so much better than Biden's, even in case of this. Like, look, Biden's administration, they had the Epstein files on the table for what? The whole administration, whole 4 years. Did they do something about it? No. Didn't even say there's no Epstein list, didn't release Epstein list, didn't charge anyone other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, really, they didn't do anything. They let all of the illegal aliens cross the borders, the crime rate skyrocketed with Diddy. Honestly, if Democrats won the election, I don't think that there would be any Diddy case, but that's my guess. So don't get me wrong, I really like Trump's administration, but this specific thing can destroy his legacy. Like on my last stream, in my last video, I mentioned that President Trump has a potential to be one of the greatest US presidents unless he screws up. And this, I don't know, this to me feels like he screwed up. But hey, his administration is not over. And that's the point that I want to talk about once we listen to some more lies. And it's really sad because I really like Caroline. I think she's very intelligent, very honest. But this whole Epstein situation...
Further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. With Prime Minister Netanyahu visiting the White House today, yesterday the president said that he was working on a more permanent deal with Iran, but several days ago he didn't think one was necessary. What changed?
Okay, I guess that's about it with Epstein files. Well, there was another guess that there might be a third party that actually has the Epstein list, right? It's kind of interesting because a lot of people suggest that it might be Israel, it might be Russia, right? It's kind of interesting that Netanyahu is in US right now, and during his visit, they will announce there's no Epstein list. Again, it's just my speculation. I probably look like I have a tinfoil hat, but hey, it's very suspicious what's going on. And yeah, let's talk about my last point that I wanted to mention. Like I said, I like President Trump's administration. I think he's doing great things for US citizens, residents, whatever, right? He's the president I think every country deserves because he puts the foreign policies aside and focuses mostly or primarily on his own citizens, people who voted him in, people who he's responsible for, right? I know he's talking about Iran, Israel, and all of this, but look, he makes sure that it's taken care of America in the meantime. So, what I would really respect and admire, we don't know if he's on the list, on the Epstein list. Unfortunately, right now, the chances look like he might be there, right? And with him making this move, announcing that there's no Epstein list and out of nowhere FBI, CIA, DOJ, it doesn't look like they're going to investigate more, which is ridiculous. What I would appreciate and respect, and in my eyes, what would still kind of put him as one of the greatest presidents. He does a lot of good for America, right? He has almost 4 years left. And then he cannot candidate again. Unless somehow, you heard the speculation, unless he changes the law that he can have 3 terms or some BS like this. But anyway, let's count with it that's it for him. We're gonna find out sooner or later, in 30 years maybe, once most of these powerful people are dead, we're gonna find out about the Epstein list, because I really believe there must be evidence against some people. If President Trump is on the list, at the end of his term, he should release the list, even if he's on it. And no immunity, man. No immunity. Just release it, be honest. Do good for 4 years and then come clean. Even if you are on the list, it's gonna put a bad taste in your mouth. Definitely. But hey, at least he would be honest and respected. Now imagine in 30 years, for 30 years you're going to consider him one of the greatest presidents, and then you find out it was all a lie, he was actually on the list. Because there's going to be another president who's going to release all of these files. So yeah, call me naive, call me crazy, but I would really respect if after 4 years he released the Epstein list, even if he's on it. And I'm not saying it excuses him if he's on the list, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think about all of this. Do you think the Epstein list is still somewhere out in the air, or do you really think there was never any Epstein list, even though, like I said, evidence kind of shows up that there was, right? Pam Bondi is saying that she has it on the table. Well, where did it go? Where did it go? And again, Elon Musk not getting sued for defamation, and even Elon Musk mentioning that there's Epstein list, and out of nowhere, like FBI, DOJ, they're not going to be looking for all of these pedophiles and horrible people who went to the island and do these horrific things. Like out of nowhere, it's closed, the case is closed. I don't know. So again, let me know what you think about it. If you like this reaction, subscribe, like it. I'll appreciate it, and see you at the next one.